I'm glad to be back. It's been a little while since I've been able to be with you all on the daily sit, but I've seen many of you at other things, and so I feel like it's coming home and being with my people. So glad to be here. And while we're here, I invite you to listen to what I have to say or totally ignore it. And just use the blessing of this gathering, the strength of this coming together as an opportunity to just sit silently in your own practice. So if you want to do that, feel free. There's a midrash that I've always loved about Ruvain and Shimon. And before I get into that, you know what? Let's arrive. I'm noticing the sort of that energy bubbling up in myself to get on with things. And I'm going to take this opportunity for all of us to remind myself and to remind everybody, let's arrive. So check your posture. See what you can do, how you can adjust your body to be sitting in a dignified, but relaxed and alert posture. I like to get my shoulders right over the hips. And sometimes I notice my head is too far forward. And then when I move it back, oh, there's an ease in the back of my body. So just find that posture that allows you to be relaxed and alert and settle in and maybe check into what your breath is like right now. And then I'll tell you about this midrash, about Ruvain and Shimon, two of Jacob's sons, as they crossed the Sea of Reeds, escaping from Egypt and Pharaoh's army. Maybe you've heard it. I learned it like 25 years ago from Cantor who taught it in the name of Rabbi Larry Kushner. So my version of the story of Ruvain and Shimon in a nutshell is, the Israelites are fleeing from Egypt. Pharaoh's army was hot on their heels. They came to a sea of reeds. God miraculously caused the waters to part, creating a way out of no way for the Israelites to move forward. They crossed, walking between walls of water to the other side. Maybe they spied some dolphins swimming near the edge of the water, and they were keeping the other fish away from danger, keeping them safe. The people crossed in awe at the sight, the sounds, the smells of that experience. But for Ruvain and Shimon, it was different. They began to cross, and they noticed that the ground was kind of squishy, and their shoes were getting wet and muddy. Yuck. The whole way across, they despaired over their nice shoes and the mucky sea floor. Okay, so we're looking at that experience from 10,000 feet, from the context of our tradition that's been focusing on that moment for thousands of years as a miracle, as a transformative moment. We've been conditioned to see the miracle in that moment. But Ruvain and Shimon missed it. They were distracted. Their attention was elsewhere. They were stuck in worry about their nice shoes. And it's fine to want your shoes to be clean, to take care of your things. That's totally okay. But their attention was so narrowed, so stuck, maybe caught up in anxiety about how they would look to others, what others would think, that for them, the miracle never happened. They missed the blessing of that moment. It never became part of their lived experience. Now, you may also already know that Jewish tradition prescribes a practice of saying 100 blessings per day. I see that as an invitation to strengthen our muscle of attention. Definitely not an edict to memorize a lot of words, but a heads up for a way we can go through the day, more awake, more receptive. So maybe I won't miss the miracles. Maybe I won't miss the blessings in my own life. In her book, My Grandfather's Blessings, Rachel Naomi Remen writes, most of us have been given many more blessings than we have received. We do not take time to be blessed or make the space for it. We may have filled our lives so full of other things that we have no room to receive our blessings. One of my patients, her patients, once told me that she has an image of us all being circled by our blessings, sometimes for years, like airplanes in a holding pattern at an airport, stacked up with no place to land, waiting for a moment of our time, our attention. So how do we land those blessings? Apparently they're here. How do we allow them to be part of our lived experience? We come to our senses. As Zach Newman taught on Monday, the domain of the body. So we have a number of traditional blessings around the senses of sight, smell, and sound. And you can find them in the back of many Siddurim. I'm not sharing them on a page, on a daf with you today, but you can find them in the back of a Siddur. And you can also go to Wikipedia, lists of Jewish blessings. There they are in English, transliteration in Hebrew, and by category. So knock yourself out with that. But here's a few, just to bring them to mind. There's blessings of the sense of sight, Ma'aseh Breshit, seeing the wonders of nature, lightning. There's a blessing around seeing a rainbow or seeing the ocean or a large body of water for the first time in a while, like 30 days. On seeing people or animals who are unique or unusual in their appearance. There's blessings around the sense of smell, the pleasant smelling trees, Borei Atzeh V'Samim, who creates fragrant trees, pleasant smelling herbs, you love a little lavender, maybe chamomile, grasses, flowers, pleasant smelling fruits, smelling oils, or just one for all other smells. So these are ways of coming to our senses. Come to my senses, which infers that I've been somewhere else. Like Ruvain and Shimon, I am often caught up in judgment and comparison, stories in my head about how I want others to think about me, how my shoes look. Do they like me? Am I good enough? So we have these blessings of sight and sound and smell to bring us back to the present moment and to be receptive to the fullness of that moment, inviting us to welcome this moment, as a perfectly fine moment, maybe even a very good moment. And so we grow our ability to direct or redirect our attention, to move attention away from unnecessary worry, anxiety, comparisons, limiting self-language, and direct it towards something that is wholesome, beauty, beautiful smells. It sort of balances the pH of the brew that my mind is spending time in. So we don't miss those miracles. So the circling blessings in our lives can land. From our Parsha this week, I'm going to mention the blessing on sound, and that's what we're going to actually sit with in just a moment. So we're on Mount Sinai. Our people are on Mount Sinai or near Sinai, at the base of Sinai. Moses is on the mountain, where God speaks to Moses in thunder. We need a Moses to translate the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 utterances, the 10 commandments. But we hear the thunder. And the blessing over sound or over thunder is Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekocho ugvurato malei olam. That you, this intimate you, are Adonai, our God, whose power and strength fill the world. So we can play with that first word of blessing, Baruch, blessed or praised, and break it into two parts. The B, which means in, and the Rach, which in Hebrew means soft. So we begin in softness. Soften our outer shell. I invite you to do that now to the best of your ability. Become receptive so that when I hear thunder, come to my senses and remember in that echo of that moment of revelation that I'm alive in this moment and living in relationship with all creation, in relationship with the Holy One of Being, with being itself. So let's settle into our seats and come to our senses. We begin by gathering the attention with the breath. Just let your attention drop in and settle and rest so gently on every part of the breathing process. The inhale, that feeling of being full. Exhale slowly, completely, and rest for a moment until the body wants to inhale again. Simply let your attention follow the breath. And every time the mind begins to wander, as it does, because it is a human mind, that's what they do. It's so good to know all you ever have to do is very gently redirect the attention, bring it back to the feeling of the breath. And if you like, you can stay with the breath as the anchor for your attention, or you might join me in using sound, that sound of thunder or whatever sound is around, as the anchor for our attention. So bringing your awareness to the ears, just allowing sound to enter. There's no need to identify sound. In fact, when you notice your mind making up a story or labeling the sound or saying what's happening based on it, just come back, bring that attention, redirect it to just the bare sound itself entering the ear. And each time the mind begins to wander, take that opportunity to redirect the attention back to bare sound entering the ear. And we'll practice that way without guidance for the next 8 minutes. May the touch of your skin register the beauty of the otherness that surrounds you. May your listening be attuned to the deeper silence, where sound is honed to bring distance home. May the fragrance of a breathing meadow refresh your heart and remind you you are a child of the earth. And when you partake of food and drink, may your taste quicken to the gift and sweetness that flows from the earth. May your inner eye see through the surfaces and glean the real presence of everything that meets you. May your soul beautify the desire of your eyes, that you might glimpse the infinity that hides in the simple sights that seem worn to your usual eyes.
Thank you so much, Julie. Amen. Amen. Thank you for that beautiful practice and closing blessing for us all. And friends, we seal the practice as we do each day, offering an opportunity if you're in mourning, if you're observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish to do so. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, please stay present for those who are. You can put the name or names of those you're honoring, and but as you recite Kaddish today, you can put those in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. And if you're doing so, you may please join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yitgadal, Yitadash, Shemerabah,
Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Merabah, Rama Divra, Hikote,
Hon B'chayei Dakol Beit Yisrael Ubizman
Kol Beit
Karib
Yisrael, Agala, Ubizman Karib,
V'Yivroch La'olam V'Me'omer Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Ya'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaser V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shmei
Tada, Yetade,
Elam
Yetala,
Min Kol
B'Shem,
Birchata V'Shirata
Elam
Chata
B'Chol, Birchata,
Dayan V'Oham
Shirchata,
V'Rucham
Chata,
Yehi
Nechemata,
Maya
Da'am,
B'Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael. Amen.
Shalama
Yaseh
Rabbanim,
Shalom B'Namav
Shemaya,
Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol
Aleinu,
Yisrael
Kol
Kol
Israel,
Shechadel
V'Nu, Amen.
Amen.
Say Shalom Bilama,
Tevel.
Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Kol
Amen.
Israel, V'Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'Nu, Amen.
Thank you all so much for being here. May all those who we remember today, may their memories be for a blessing, and may all those who mourn be comforted. Friends, thanks for joining us today. As always, it's kind of Cantor's week here at and on the Daily Sit. Yesterday, Cantor Louise Treitman and Cantor Julie Newman leading us beautifully today. Tomorrow, we're looking forward to Cantor Kareth Spencer Shapiro of the Wilshire Boulevard Temple in LA leading us. And as I mentioned on Friday, the sit will be co-sponsored with Dorot in New York, and it'll be a special edition of the Daily Sit. And Janice Rouse will lead us on applying practice to navigate our aging bodies. Very much looking forward to that and to sit into Shabbat together. Thanks to Jordan Pollack for holding our space as always so beautifully. And if you're leaving us now, we hope to see you tomorrow. And if not, you're welcome to stay. And as Julie invited us at the beginning, just to use this time and space for your own practice and to sit or join us for a conversation about the teaching or to share reflections on the practice in the chat, if you like. Also going to mention that Julie's community that she leads in Pittsburgh, which is called Tiferet, offers meditations regularly on Sundays at 4 p.m. And right, Julie, you got that right? And Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Navigating the Aging Brain, I think, right now. 7 p.m. Tuesday night. I got that right? All right. Doing all right here. Okay, Julie, welcome. It's so nice to have you back. And I'm going to invite questions in the chat for people who would like to share us, just see lots of appreciation. And it's nice to see what people noticed while we were sitting. And I want to invite people, if you'd like, to put in the chat. Maybe people would like to join in sharing what they noticed as Julie invited us. And thanks also, Julie, for sharing that beautiful blessing from John O'Donohue, one of our faves.
Yeah, I put the name of the book in the chat.
Everybody here should have that book. Just want to let you know, like, that is a book everybody should have on your bookshelf.
Yeah.
To bless the space between us, a book of blessings. And it's really very, very special book. Highly recommend if you don't already. So Julie, thank you so much. And that midrash about Shimon and Reuben, the kvetching brothers. Oh boy, it's kind of a painful midrash to listen to, because like, oh no, that's me.
It's totally me. It is so totally me. I'll tell you a personal story. My mom always wore like these white Keds, and she would bleach them and put them out in the sun. Like they were always maybe that's why that midrash really sat with me, is the whole thing with the keeping the shoes clean.
Uh-huh.
Oh yes. And what is my attention not on when I'm spending all that time? Like, it's nice to have clean shoes. It's also nice to know, what did people notice here? That
Right.
there's airplanes flying overhead, that
Right.
my refrigerator has a buzz. And if you're a music nerd, you'll find out what note your refrigerator is buzzing in. My car, when it reverses, is electric and it has a sound, and it's reverses in E4.
Now that's an ear, Julie.
Oh no, I had to
Okay.
focus on something, but still.
Wow. Well, it makes me think about also the teaching that I don't know well. Maybe you know this better than
Uh-oh, I'm losing
I
you.
do. I'm saying, I was saying, maybe you may also, or maybe you know this better, the noticing the absence of a toothache. Oops.
Yeah.
This is me. It seems like my internet
Yeah.
is
Yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich
right.
Nhat. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, our attention, I guess it's all part and parcel of negativity bias, that the mind is tilted in that way, right?
Right.
And it's not a bad thing, really. It's that it's on the lookout for threats and dangers, right? Which is why we're attuned to and like on guard against things going wrong or things being threatening. So
Right.
maybe, I don't know, do you want to say anything about that, about how we,
Sure.
first of all, like, I know for me that's, oh, okay. It's not that I'm like an ingrate or, or like a kvetcher, right?
Right.
It's that's part of being a human being.
Right. It's in the wiring. You're not gonna get rid of it. But what you can do is choose, have some agency over how much attention you pay to it, when to pay a lot of attention to it, like when that smell means smoke, there's a fire, and when it means your neighbor's barbecuing, so this idea of the body wants to keep itself in homeostasis,
Mm-hmm.
like within the safe borders of all the senses and all the things that it notices. And sometimes we get super focused on it, like if the temperatures, it's sort of the princess and the pea syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit out. Ooh, I don't like that. This isn't good. I don't feel good. And if you get into that story of this isn't good, I don't feel good, it's bad, I'm kind of stuck in that story, when you could also, like, the temperature dropped. Am I okay?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have a sweater. Maybe I don't need a sweater. Maybe like, oh, I felt a breeze of cool air. Maybe I don't even need my sweater. Maybe I'm fine. And so the no toothache feeling, when I stub, this is the one I use a lot. When I stub my toe, the whole world is my stub toe. That's like, it becomes huge. And that's all I can feel and see. But when I dial back and say, like, oh yeah, my toe is stubbed, I'm not bleeding. It's like, it's going to take a minute. There's nothing I can do in that minute. And recognize what the rest of me is fine. My elbow doesn't feel a thing. My shoulder, everything is fine. And in that moving, that redirecting of attention from the stub toe being the main thing to really, I'm pretty much okay. That's blessing. That's blessing. The relief from the hard, terrible, bad thing being the only thing to knowing, oh, I am really kind of held in okayness right now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I don't know. I'm thinking about stub toes, which are kind of a universal thing. We all do that. Um, and the way you were describing it, it was making me realize how much goes on in that moment. Where as you were describing it, it feels like it fills up the whole world. And there's so much blame in the moment, at least for me. I'll say, like, self-blame, like, how could you do that? So stupid. You didn't see that. Or who put that there? Right? Like assigning, you could just see very clearly the relationship between pain and blame.
Right.
And, like the identifying that gap between that initial reaction, which really we don't have a lot of control over, and the response that you're describing, right?
Right. Right.
Wait a minute, this is not, because in the moment, it's like such a small thing. It can feel like almost the end of the world in some kind of way, right? And then quickly you realize, no, this is far from the end of, this is very far from the end of the world. And there's a lot of things that are right in this moment too.
Right. Right. You come like there's the inclination to respond or to react. First, it's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I got to fix it, got to fix it, got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when we're very young or when we're with a toddler who just is so focused on something and they just can't get past it. When we sit, when we meditate, when we use this practice to strengthen the muscle of attention,
Mm-hmm.
we have the strength to like expand the attention and see, basically I'm okay. And there's actually nothing I can do to about this toe. It's just going to hurt for 60 seconds or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And and I will just be okay for that 60 seconds. I could make it worse by really like dialing into that story
Right.
and
Right.
and I could say something that is going to be a conversation that I'm going to have with my partner for a long time, like, you moved that. I told you not to move that. Or I could respond with some wisdom instead of just reacting in the
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Yeah, it's really a good one. It's like such a microcosm, and it's like just because the intensity is so great there.
Yeah.
Um,
And not blaming yourself for having the initial reaction because that's how we're wired. And sometimes it saves our lives.
right, right. So much good stuff in the thank you so much for all these wonderful resources. And yeah, Catherine, thank you. Stub token also wake us up to what we're not paying attention to. Like, why did my partner leave that thing there? I wasn't.
No,
Yeah.
I'll say waking up to, I think I'm walking differently.
Yeah.
I think I'm not picking my feet up.
Mm-hmm.
I think um I'm rushing or I'm not in my body. Like I know where my head's going, but I don't know where my body is. And
Mm-hmm.
coming back to that attention, especially in the aging body, especially we need to know where we are because it's easier to, in terms of balance and walking safely and do you get a lot of bruises that you don't know where they came from?
Mm-hmm.
That's like a lack. So know where it's we're living in it. It's good to know where it is at all times, know where your body is at all times.
Nice segue too for Friday. Thank you for that too. Um, um, I'm thinking about also, there's a lot of in here about sound, about people tuning into sound, the sound as the soundscape of the room, and connecting it with blessing, senses and blessing. I don't think we've used the word gratitude. Maybe you used the word gratitude, but it basically is yeah, but it's essentially this is it's a gratitude practice, right?
Yeah. So I thought about talking about gratitude, and I cut it out because I didn't want to talk too long. I wanted to have that silence, but also this practice allows gratitude to arise naturally. That's like, it's not a thing we have to go and get and force ourselves to do. It's not eating our broccoli and I'm a good person. It's like, out of this, one of the fruits of the practice is gratitude. Can be.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about what we refer to in shorthand as the practice, really in Jewish terms as very connected with Shabbat. And what we're really doing is kind of, I recently coined this phrase that may or may not resonate for people, microdosing Shabbat, basically during the week. And it all has all the components that you're describing of seeing things clearly as they are, of not necessarily seeking to change things from the way they are, but really being where they are and taking that pause and experiencing a sense of fullness for things as they are. So I just want to appreciate, I really appreciate, it was just a beautiful teaching. Can you bring in, since I wasn't there on Monday, what you taught for embodied practice on Monday on one foot? Can you do that? No?
Well, it was actually, you have to be on one foot, but you have to have one arm out and the other leg out.
I can do that.
It's the aleph in your body.
Okay.
The aleph in the body. So what did we hear? So that idea of what did we hear on what was the experience on Sinai? And some say, it's all the commandments. Some say it's the Aseret HaDibrot. Some say it's just the I am, the Anochi. And then the Rimana verse says it's just the aleph. It's just the aleph, which is a silent letter. And so we did a movement practice that was about listening in the body. And then we did some asanas, some postures that actually put the body in the aleph.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it lives on in recorded form.
Yeah.
On our YouTube channel, on our yoga playlist. So please do check that out. And Julie, just see a lot of appreciation for this practice today. So thanks so much. And I want to, you have been such a stalwart from the get-go back in the dark days of the pandemic, and there are a lot of people here who have been here ongoing since then, which is quite amazing. And a lot of it, just want to reflect back to you the blessing that you shared with us, and thank you for all that you've done to enrich this community and model presence and wisdom and in your teaching, both in embodied practice and in the meditation. We're really grateful to you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm really grateful to this community that came together, like you said, during the pandemic, and for IJS that has just been so transformative to my own life and well-being.
All right. Well,
thank you, friend.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll see you next week. By the way, I will be away next week, just letting people know. We have a bunch of guest hosts lined up. Julie and I actually will be on a clergy retreat that IGS is running in California. Looking forward to that. But I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow at our usual time. Thanks, Jordan, for holding our space. Thanks to each of you for being here, as always. And many blessings, everyone. Stay safe and well, and we'll see you tomorrow.